Good morning or good evening or good afternoon wherever you're at right now. My name is Krista. I've had Meniere's disease for 4 years, and the first half of those 4 years it was torture. I always tell people a story of that 20-foot walk I had to take between my car in the morning and going to work and the front door of my office. And right before I would open that door, the fear would set in, and I would be just so dizzy and nauseous and undernourished that every step I took, I wasn't actually sure if I was going to make it for that 20 feet. I thought, what happens if I fall down and one of my coworkers finds me? You know, it was horribly lonely. And over those 4 years, I relearned how to eat, how to think, what to do about stress levels, how to deal with people, and I took back control. And that's why I'm here today, because today we're all going to take back control of our lives. This is a lot easier than you think, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Here's the first clue, or the first key of learning how to do that, is knowing that well-being, consistent well-being, is not a mystery. It's a simple act that we can do over and over and is based on choice. This is essential right here. Because when we are diagnosed with an incurable condition and we can't even control if we're going to be standing or if we're going to be in bed, it seems like we lose our degree of choice. And if we don't have choice, we don't have control. But you're going to find out that we always have choice. So whatever degree that you feel you've lost with Meniere's disease, remember that we always have choices. I can prove this. This is a really wonderful quote by Viktor Frankl. He was an Austrian psychiatrist, and he had an opportunity to come to the United States when the Nazis took over Austria, but he decided to let that visa pass so he could be with his parents and help protect them. And they all did go to a concentration camp, and throughout his time in a concentration camp, Viktor Frankl made some amazing discoveries about what happens to human beings when they're in a very bad situation. He said even though conditions such as lack of sleep, insufficient food, and various mental stresses may suggest that the inmates were bound to react in certain ways, in the final analysis, it became clear that the sort of person the prisoner became was the result of an inner decision and not the result of camp influences alone. Us humans, we have special skills in determining who we are, no matter what happens to us. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing: the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. This is a book. This all came from a book called Man's Search for Meaning. So if you do feel like picking that up, it's really good. Today, you and I, are going to choose our own way, no matter what anybody else says. This information I'm sharing with you today took me from hiding in bed for weeks at a time, losing contacts with my friends and family, and being able to control how I'm thinking every part of my day, no matter what is happening around me, even if I feel bad. The information I'm sharing with you allows me to avoid a Meniere's attack most of the time. This means that I live a life all on my own. I rarely even think about taking vacations. Being in the car on a long road trip, I just do it. If I feel like doing something, I just do it, because I know exactly what causes my Meniere's attacks, and because of that, I know exactly what to do to get out of it. And I'm just really excited to share this with you guys today, because I can't tell you how much it's saved me. I avoid attacks by knowing how to read my patterns. I took all my knowledge about nutrition, stress, Meniere's patterns, and I design my own lifestyle. This is a lot different than what the doctor tells you when you when you go and you see the doctor and then you get your prescriptions and they say, by the way, you might want to make some lifestyle changes. Most people don't really know what lifestyle changes actually mean, but this gets you closer to it. It's not what you do when you get an attack, it's what you do every day to avoid one. My lifestyle uses what I see in my patterns. I use my Meniere cycle to help me avoid them. When I have energy, when I have stress, the more that we are in tune with when we're comfortable and when we're not comfortable, the fewer attacks we get, because we can use all of those as cues for guiding us toward health. And I use things that work, like if I shift away from hard focus when I feel the pressure in my forehead, if I drink more water when my ear is at that fog part of my cycle, I can make sure that I stay in a place that is not friendly to Meniere's attacks. I would like to show you how to do this too. It's crazy to me, because as I went through my 4-year process of learning how to live again, I realized that we've all been conditioned to think that the only way we're ever going to feel better is if we avoid things. And, I think this is kind of a human conditioning, like putting your hand on the stove, you get burned, and so you avoid the stove. And most of the time it's healthy for us, but with Meniere's disease, because it's such a mysterious condition, we start avoiding things like coffee and soda, then we start avoiding bigger things like our family and work. And the next thing you know, it feels like we're backed into the corner of a room with nobody else in it. It generates fear. The avoidance mindset generates fear, and that fear grows. And the more that we fear, the more that we avoid, hoping that we're going to avoid this fear cycle. The more we avoid, the more our life consists of nothing but symptoms and nothing but doctors, and everything else seems to get squeezed out. And this increasing exile is what I call the Meniere survival cycle. So it all starts with those mysterious symptoms, and then we go see the doctor, and then we go and get these medications, and then we take them, but then it generates more fear, which generates more symptoms, and we're stuck in here, and all the world is out here. And today I'm going to show you a very simple way to get out of that and actually start moving in a straight line towards health. It's a slight shift in thinking, but it makes all the difference in the world. There's a new way to manage our condition. I call it this balancing mindset. So if you can imagine, I'm going to try to draw a ship that's funny. It looks like an apple. But let's just say this ship is on the water and it's heading towards a destination, over here somewhere. Now, because it's on water, it is not on a solid surface like a road. So it doesn't go in a straight line. It goes a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and it makes small adjustments all the way down until it gets to this destination. And it also makes adjustments for weather and water currents. So, looking at this, you too can make small adjustments for what's happening around you and inside of you, always keeping a bird's eye view on where you're going, always ready to change from one direction to another. Because we too are sailing over these changeable waters. People that do well with Meniere's disease get real good with change. Balance is taking all the fear and uncertainty and turning it into choice and confidence. Because if we are the ones making these moves, we decide to go here, we decide to go here, our confidence grows. We switch our effort from fueling the Menieres to the plan that gives us back control. And when I say effort, I mean the thoughts that we think, the actions that we take, the people that we spend time with. All of that effort, instead of fueling this cycle by thinking fear and worry, it's now being given to a plan that gives us back control. Are your thoughts and actions helping you, or are they actually helping your disease by helping this cycle? I would love for you to just think about that for a minute, because all action and all healing begins with how we think. Sailors, they never know what's going to happen when they go out to sea. In the olden days, they used to look up to the sky and they used the saying. They used to say, red sky at night, sailors delight. Red sky in the morning, sailors take warning. Because they didn't know what was going to happen, they would have to look off into the horizon, and they would look at the sky. And whether it was red or not would indicate what the atmosphere is and would indicate what storms might be brewing when they were out at sea. The actions taken while out at sea were quite different if the sky was red or if it was clear in the morning. Now, I'm bringing this up to you today because most people, not just Meniere's people, but most human beings, they go through their lives thinking if they take any action, if they do anything, at any time of the day, it'll always yield the same result. But as you know, you can only plant during planting season, and you can only harvest during harvest season. It matters when and how we take action. So you and I get to find all of this out early, and I love to bring this up because I find so many ways that us Meniere people, we have skills that other people don't have because of the way we have to navigate through this condition and live a life. If you can name subtle cues in your Meniere's pattern, you can intercept it. So you know those symptoms that are hard to explain to the doctor, so things that are hard to actually put into words. Like my ear can pop, and today maybe it felt like it came from the top of my head but not in my ear. I really wouldn't know how to explain that to the doctor. Now, what's interesting is I have at least 5 different ways that my ear or head behaves that signal that I need more water. And these don't have anything to do with thirst. Sometimes if I wait till I actually get thirsty, it'll be too late. So if you know this about yourself, you can intercept attacks. You can use nutrition, you can use fluid balance, and you can know what to do with stress in any given moment in the beginning of a Meniere's pattern, and you might be able to avoid an attack. I do it all the time. And I would just love it if you could also do this and let me know how it works for you. You're moving today. You're here today listening to this because you're moving toward feeling very good every day. That's what you want most. You are here and you want to be here feeling good all the time. And you're on your boat and you're sailing over these waters and you're going to use your environment, stress, then you move this way. You feel a little well-being, you get to move this way, and you just keep going in a straight line and get out of this cycle of loneliness. How would it be for you, instead of being stuck in that Meniere cycle, you lived in a balancing mindset where every day you decided how you were going to balance. Balancing is using these subtle cues. If you feel more fatigued than usual, or noticing that taking an afternoon nap made you feel a little bit more stable the next morning, to even out the highs and the lows that usually plague us as Meniere sufferers. I feel good today, I'm high. I feel terrible, I'm low. I feel up and down. We're not going to do that anymore. That's the old way of looking at things. This right here is how it works. You can start doing this tomorrow. Starting tomorrow when you wake up, you go through your day and your week as if nothing is any different. There's no pressure. But instead of fearing what you're going to feel and what they will do to you, starting tomorrow, you'll just listen to it. And what I mean by this is anytime a human being goes through fear, then we hyper-focus on that fear. We might feel a symptom and say, oh, what's going to happen now? I hope that doesn't get bad. But starting tomorrow, we're going to be little scientists. And we're going to say, that's kind of interesting. Now, what this does is it pulls you out of judging. We're not going to judge anything good, and we're not going to judge anything bad. We're just going to notice, and we're just going to say, that's kind of interesting. Listen to when you feel a boost of energy, like when a weird pop happens inside your head. Listen to when you feel happy or sad. You're not going to say, oh, cool, I feel happy today. Oh, it's terrible, I feel sad. You're just going to say, cool, I feel happy. Isn't that interesting? I feel a little bit sad today. Or you'll have more energy. And you'll ask one of these questions. What's the best thing I can do for this right now? Or what can I do to repeat this good feeling? And then you're going to be very quiet and you're going to just listen. If you're feeling really tired, you might say, what's the best thing I can do for this right now? And then you're going to be very quiet and listen. And in that quietness, something is going to come into your mind, an idea, and then you'll go and take action on that idea. And if you're feeling great, you're going to say, what can I do to repeat this good feeling? And you're going to be very quiet and you're going to listen. And something will come into your mind that might even be different than what you think it will be. You know, like maybe you'll wake up and you'll notice, I have a better sense of well-being this morning than I did yesterday. And then you'll say, well, that's kind of interesting. What can I do to repeat that? And then you'll say, well, maybe going out for a walk the night before helps all of that. So you are forming a relationship between awareness of how you feel and solutions that are already inside your brain. When you notice that a certain action brings about a certain result, write this down. Make a list or a chart or use an app on your phone, and these notes become a part of your Meniere's toolbox. This is very powerful stuff. Maybe you found a really cool way to politely get off the phone when your head feels tired. If you read into this, I would love to know what this is because I struggle with that. It's a great one for the toolbox. The key is to get as subtle as you can without adding pressure on yourself. You know, so the tendency when we begin this is to try to remember everything and try to do it really well. And don't even have to worry about that. You can just go around just like it's the most normal thing in the world. And you'll run into this stuff if you just let it flow. If it doesn't work at the very first time, it'll work after the second time or the third time. You'll get to know what gives you a sense of well-being, and you'll know what to do the instant you feel any subtle signs or symptoms you listen to. You'll really get to know yourself more than you do now. Like I always say, Meniere's people, we have special tools for living that other people don't have. With your toolbox, you can begin to intercept a pattern not only before it turns into an attack, but before it even turns into a pattern. If you really get to know those subtle cues. As you get to know these cues, you can shift your lifestyle to work with them. You know, like every day at 5, you don't get on the phone because you're out doing your walk, because you know that'll help you wake up better in the morning. And then you will be out of survival mode and into regaining your own self-control. But actually, The very first thing that you write in your Meniere's toolbox frees you from this survival cycle, because you are now taking your own actions instead of reacting to fear. Congratulations. And just begin this tomorrow, and in a week you're going to be a brand new person. But my name is Krista, and I'm glad that you're hanging out with me a little bit today, and I hope you feel amazing tomorrow. Let me know how this works for you. Okay, bye-bye.